Think about this. In every single part of the world, unknown beasts suddenly appear in the streets, destroying your city and everything they come across. And not having enough with that, a large tower, known as the tutorial tower, spawns suddenly. From time to time, this tower chooses people from all over the world, by force, regardless of their talents, age, or physical condition. And from those people, only 20% of them make it out alive. Inside these towers, these people get new and special abilities, turning them into hunters. And, at the same time, the last hope of the city. This is what happens in the advanced player of the tutorial tower. 2 years after the tower was first completed, the people idolized the hunters. Because of this, hunters were treated just like celebrities, enjoying great fame and fortune. However, the government wasn't gonna ignore all the power that these hunters had with them.
From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you're here. Thank you so much.
This led to an era in which the power of a country was measured by the number of hunters it had. In consequence, in order to increase their value and protect themselves from the government, hunters started creating groups, known as guilds, and began working together to defeat these beasts. And they were so popular, they had a TV show called We Are the Hunters, which was created to increase public interest in hunters. The TV show had so much audience, it became one of the most successful shows. This TV show invited the top guild leaders from South Korea, Goguryeo Guild leader Seo Kwan-han, Arang Guild leader Seoyeon Lee, and Seoul Guild leader Sai-Hyun Kim, just to ask them a few questions regarding S-rank hunters, to avoid mistakes for rookie hunters. After a few questions, the host asks the N-degree 1 question from the online poll, most voted by public, asking them about a rumor. People say, there's an advanced player living in the tutorial tower. The 3 GUID leaders, surprised, ask themselves, who is this guy? The presenter says she's also found some rumors on the internet about this man, and asks the guild leaders if they know anything about it. The Goguryeo Guild leader replies, judging by all the talk about the advanced player, he's seemingly alive. The Arang Guild leader says there's probably no one who hasn't heard about him, since they were abducted together with the advanced player. And, she claims to say he is a first-generation hunter. Everyone is shocked to hear this. This only means the advanced player has been in the tower for 12 years straight, since the first one came out. The Seoul Guild leader says this might have to do something with a curse, since after completing the dungeon, instead of freeing him like the rest of the hunters, the tower sent him back to the first floor again, leading us to the theory that the advanced player is only a trapped hunter, who couldn't get out of the tower. Based on what he knows of the tutorial tower, he explains this is the place where hunters come to exercise their basic skills. So if someone were to complete the tower over and over again for 12 years, he would have become an extremely powerful hunter. And it is said that a member of some guild who completed the tower recently saw the advanced player complete the tower completely, in a single day. Such a powerful hunter has probably already overpassed any living hunter a long time ago. Hypothetically, of course. And this is where our hero appears. Inside the tutorial tower, hunters are running away from a beast, as they shout and scream, claiming that this is not a tutorial, but rather, a death sentence. While they're being thrown away by this enormous beast, our hero, very calm and relaxed, stands in front of the boss. As the beast growls at him, he exclaims to the boss if he could get out of the tower, they'd immediately rank him A or S, smiling like nothing. Meanwhile, a B-rank hunter boy from the Seoung Guild can't explain himself how someone fresh out of the tower could catch up with their A or S rank leader. The boy had met the advanced player 2 years ago, and watched him complete the dungeon, and he claims he was like a living legend. Several hunters stated how amazing the advanced player could be. A hunter told that 3 werewolves appeared on the 72nd floor, and he killed them all by himself. Another hunter said that he was the exact definition of an advanced player, as he blasted his way from the 1st floor to the 10th floor with just one flying kick, showing us that the power of the advanced player is enormous. Back to our main hero, he launches a kick to the boss that brings him to his knees. Even the boss himself trembles from this hunter's power. Our hero, all proud and conceited, flatters himself, claiming how good and perfect he was. He kills the boss of the 11th floor with just one single kick. In 3 seconds. Bored like hell, he's running out of new things to try there. Over the years, new hunters have had less and less time to complete the tower, since there's always a new world record from a new hunter group. And although there's tutorial towers all across the world, they're actually all the same structure inside. So each time a hunter group passes the tower, more information is published every day worldwide, making it easier to complete. Most countries make this information public to help hunters survive and also make them more powerful. However, no matter how much info there's on the internet about it, only a small piece of hunters actually make their way and conquer the tower. If any hunter makes his way trough all 99 floors, they must defeat Balrog, the fearsome and most powerful boss of the tower. According to records, 70 out of 95 hunters get killed by this monster, taking his toll on more than a half of the new hunters that arrive on his floor. And among all this desperation from new hunters, our hero appears, claiming this is the 1349th time he's defeated this boss. Once he defeats him, a portal appears. When our main hero crosses it, he realizes he just returned to the first floor of the tower again. Saying this is the 1350th time he can see the same sign again. He just smiles and screams, desperate. He lies down on the floor of level 1, opens the status window to look at his abilities, and realize he's not getting any new attributes for passing it. He starts remembering his life 12 years ago. He turns sad and nostalgic, recalling his party, fighting alongside him to pass the tower on the top floor. Everyone celebrated they could now leave the place, thanking Hyungwoo, our main character, cause, if it wasn't for him, they would have never beaten the tower. Telling him not to forget about them ever. He replies, he already knows them pretty well, so that's not gonna happen definitely. They promise to meet and hang out once they're out. Once they crossed the portal, Hyungwoo sees the same sign from the first level, welcome to the tutorial tower. Sort of confused, he realizes he's in the first floor again. He decides to beat the tower again with a new crew. Once finished, he gets a new sign. The curse sign, claiming he is the tutorial player, and he carries the tower's curse. He really doesn't take it too well, and he despairs. This feeling lasted for a long time, and Hyungwoo was furious about it. Then, he decides to give it a try and find new ways to free himself from the curse and get out of the tower. He tried beating the tower from the beginning, all by himself. Beating it 10 times. Training until his physical stats reached their top. But none of this ever worked. He tried so many ways to get out of the tower, for 5 years long, until he gave up and resigned to his fate, trying to enjoy the situation. 433D time, Hyungwoo roleplayed as a guide NPC just to show the path to new hunters. 512th time, he played the military builder in charge of recruits. But all this roleplay didn't last long. He couldn't stand watching how the outside world was changing and living history, while he spent his days imprisoned, only getting in touch with the real world through the people he met in the tower, since he actually didn't have anything else to do but to complete it over and over again. Now, back to the present, and after spending 12 years locked in a tower with no way out, he frustrates, expressing despite what he does, nothing changes. When he suddenly gets a new sign on the screen, saying, "Infinite match removed." Shocked, he wonders what the heck is going on, but no matter what, those were all good news for this man. He jumps with all his strength, with a big smile on his face, just shouting out, "Finally, I can go home." Back to the TV show, We Are the Hunters. They say the world record on completing the tower is 10 months, and the presenter asks the guild leaders if they think Generation 18 might break the record. They reply that's a tough one, since the number of hunters changes each round, and it all depends on how well they can cooperate. Saihyun says it's also important to develop their individual skills. And Seokwon adds the biggest challenge is to cross the 51st floor, since a high-level boss appears every 10 levels, and from that floor on, you can't rely on luck to survive. On the other hand, Hyungwoo is desperate to come out, thinking it's taking forever to beat the tower. Although he's actually beating it at speed demon, climbing floors without actually stopping to defeat any monsters, just going trough the walls and destroying everything that gets in his way. And without even noticing it, he's already in the 99th floor again, and the same boss appears in front of him. He yells, "I'm going home," and defeats the boss in one hit. The people watching the tower from the outside can see the portal, and shocked, they claim this is a new record. One of them tells him to be ready to check the list of survivors. Although only one person pops out of the portal, and it's Hyungwoo, of course. He looks at the clear sky, smiling, after 12 long years. Then, this guy approaches him, praising him for completing the tower, saying it had to be real tough. Hyungwoo asks him if he's really out of the tower, just to be sure. And the answer is yes, he did come out of the tower. This man asks him his name. Hyungwoo screams his name, yelling he's finally free. The guy taking his name checks the list, and finds out his name is not even there. And going back to the top of the sheet, he sees Hyungwoo's name appearing first on the first generation list in the tutorial. He realizes he is in front of the advanced player. After 12 years of his invocation, it is stated that Hyungwoo Kim has left the tutorial tower. A week later, at the Korean Tutorial Center, the place is crowded with people. Since Generation 18 hunters are gonna take the first grade exam. This is a really special occasion, since they have the record of 2 weeks less than the previous record.
Also, quick reminder, as we are going through the recap, if you are new to the channel, some of you watching are not already subscribed, and if that's you and you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1 million subs. And if you enjoy the video, or if you found it interesting, let me know by dropping a like and comment on it as well, would be seriously appreciated. Let's continue.
The whole world is watching. And to make things more interesting, at the VIP waiting room, in the tutorial center, we can see the 3 guild leaders talking about Hyungwoo finally coming out of the tower. One of the leaders explains, Hyungwoo probably looks the same, since inside of the tower, there is no need to eat or sleep, and the body won't even age a single day. He wonders, excitedly, after 12 years, into what kind of beast might Hyungwoo have become. Meanwhile, the exam for the 18th generation's about to get started. In the waiting room, the hunters grab some weapons and get ready to try and break the record. Behind them, completely unnoticed, was Hyungwoo eating snacks. Everyone, surprised, turned to look at him, since he's got no equipment, nor weapons, nor anything. He asks them why they wearing equipment. They reply, they were given it this morning, and if he hadn't, might have some trouble with the exam. Hyungwoo, carelessly, wonders if he had fallen asleep when they gave out the equipment. In the tutorial center, they immediately order the trainees to leave the waiting room and proceed to the test room. Hyungwoo seems quite confused, since he doesn't even know what that place is. On the way to the center, a guy named David appears in the spot, welcoming the trainees, and giving them the grade evaluation. David tells the apprentices not to worry too much, as compared to the tutorial tower, this is just a training booth. As David lectures them, Hyungwoo just yawns from boredom. David presents the first exam. Once he presses a button, a door from the back opens, and they realize it's a maze. David explains the maze is full of obstacles, and advises them to use all of their abilities to succeed. The countdown begins, starting the test in 30 seconds. The trainees eagerly prepare, and the test begins. David is glad to see these trainees are disciplined, and starts bragging about when he did the test for the first time. As he thinks about this, Hyungwoo pops out of the blue and asks him if he's just gotta make it to the exit, no matter how. David, surprised, looks at him up and down, wondering if he's really one of the apprentices, since he's completely disarmed, and doesn't look to take the test too seriously either. David replies indeed, yes, the only goal is to get to the exit no matter how. He asks Hyungwoo if the test sounds like a joke to him. Hyungwoo, arrogant, tells him to save that speech for those who are breaking their backs, unlike him. David calls him arrogant, but then, Hyungwoo proposes a bet. If he can make it out of the maze in less than 20 seconds, David must give him 10 million won. David doesn't really care about the bet, he's just furious about him. Hyungwoo teases him, and David accepts the bet. Hyungwoo goes back to the maze entrance, and presses the rock as he thinks about the 10 million won, which is also a whole hunter's salary. He's just thinking about how hunters make so much money. The guild leaders are trying to figure out what's he doing, and just like that, Hyungwoo uses his ability charge, and with his fist he makes his way through the entire maze. Once he lands, Hyungwoo realizes he's already made it until the other side of the maze. The audience cannot believe such thing was actually possible, and one of the guild leaders affirms Hyungwoo was too reckless by doing this. Hyungwoo, joyful for the 10 million won he's gonna get, realizes on all the damage he did, and he just wonders if they're gonna make him pay for that. 24 hours before the Hunter's evaluation, at All Hunters magazine, a man asks a secretary, named Junsong, to lend him the list of all the novices taking the grade test, and asks her if she's not excited about it. Since the advanced player is already in, she wonders if there's any other worthwhile new hunter. And yes, there is, and points out a hunter, a boy who has mastered martial arts and might be a good candidate. This hunter is Kangyeon Lee. He wants to be a star, he's got the talent, abilities, and luck by his side in the tower. He excelled in defeating monsters, and he was the strongest hunter in his party. His plan was to defeat each obstacle and drive the attention of everyone from the beginning, or, at least, that was the plan. Until Hyungwoo came out, and Kangyeon realized he was stealing the show. Anyways, Back to the present. In the trainee grade test, since Hyungwoo blew up the maze, the test was temporarily suspended, without giving a chance to the others to make the test that day. In the press room, they were all surprised about what was going on. Not even the cameras could spot anything, since it was so fast. And they only had shots from Kangyeon, since no one would have thought someone in flip-flops was gonna steal the show just like that. This is where a star is born, as now, in the waiting room, Kangyeon turns desperate, while Hyungwoo takes a nap. Everyone in the room are talking about how amazing it was, the way Hyungwoo made it through the maze. Kangyeon, on the other hand, thinks this is not over yet, and he might still be able to take a chance on having the spotlight. Suddenly, they get announced from the evaluation council, and the test will be retaken in 15 minutes. Kangyeon thinks it doesn't matter it's the advanced player, since it won't depend on him. He trusts his own experience and capabilities. Now, the evaluation test will be a wave of monsters. They'll be using virtual targets, based on spiritual monster rocks, and the latest technologies. With this evaluation, they'll test the trainees on how long it's gonna take them to defeat all monsters. Kangyeon is crushing it on the test, and uses a lightning. Everyone is surprised, since he just came out of the tower and is already using magical abilities. Thus, they can only assume he is some kind of genius. Kangyeon fights giving the best out of him, to defeat as much monsters as possible. Time's out, and Kangyeon, Hunter N Degree 3, defeated 78 monsters in total. The highest score to date from a trainee. Everyone praise him, saying he's living up to his reputation as the best candidate. But it's not all rosy in the garden, since if it wasn't because of Hyungwoo, he would have made it to the first place. Now, it's Hyungwoo's turn to take the test. He says he's out of energies to do this, but Kangyeon's not giving too much credit to these words. Kangyeon is intrigued. In the VIP room, the guild leaders are excited to see how the advanced player has evolved on his fight style. Hyungwoo is in the room, and he has 2 minutes to defeat as many monsters as he can. The test begins, and monsters start spawning all over the place. The test begins in 10 seconds. As they count down, Hyungwoo seems pretty calm. The test begins for him, and Hyungwoo launches attacks that not even cameras can see. He drops attacks here and there, and he is so fast, he pops in and out of sight. And it looks like the monsters' heads just blow up with magic. Viewers are wondering if what he does is actually magic, but one of the leaders claims this is not the case. Seemingly, Hyungwoo's just running from one monster to another, hitting them with one single punch, not even taking his hands out of his pockets. Time's up. The test is finished, and Hyungwoo has defeated 248 monsters. Since the test was being broadcast, social media blew up. Kangyeon frustrates, breaks his phone, and hits a wall in anger, yelling and claiming he had trained really hard, even when others just lazed around, and used dirty tricks to make his way and raise his rank. Once the test was concluded, a girl named Alice shows a list to Hyungwoo. He asks what this is, and she tells him this is a list of all the guilds that want to join him as a hunter. They start talking, and Hyungwoo asks her if being there was actually part of her job. She replies, this was for personal reasons, since he wanted to meet the advanced player in person, and showed him a book. This book was from the Aries Guild, which said everything about contracts and obligations of a member. Alice advises him to check out the bonus section, which says, once both parties sign the agreement, the hunter will receive the amount of 10 billion won. Ella asks him what he thinks about this proposal. Hyungwoo asks her when did the local currency lose so much value. She replies that everything went into chaos when the monsters arrived. They talk about how everything was so expensive now, so Hyungwoo is clearly worried about this fact. Since this 10 billion won won't last for too long, Alice tells him not to worry about that, since those 10 billion were only for signing the contract. Since the guild is willing to double the payment if he renews with them at the end of the contract. They start talking about what would happen if he signed, and Hyungwoo realizes this could be actually illegal. Offering contracts to people who are still part of the association. Alice says he doesn't need to push himself, and heads on take the decision after signing the contract. But Hyungwoo refuses the offer, since he's not interested on signing with any guild. Alice thinks he's just joking around, but Hyungwoo is firm on his decision. Now, back in his room, he thinks about this, thinking the world is governed by supply and demand. Concluding, the guild wouldn't offer him 10 billion won out of the blue, he's sure after accepting it, he would be sent to do hard work for others, and he decides he wants to live a quiet, comfortable life, doing whatever he wants. Thinking about his conversation with Alice, he realizes that there were mercenary hunters, who decide to work by themselves. He thinks, if he had known beforehand they existed, he probably wouldn't even wasted his time on the exam. He looks at the list of guilds that want to sign with him, not too excited about that either. 5 days later, in the last protection period of the new hunters, at a Japanese restaurant, Hyungwoo meets the 3 guild leaders, and he sees these are actually his partners. He can see how much they've changed and matured, as he remains exactly the same, and starts recalling everything they came across when they went together to the tower. He remembered how Saihyun took cover behind him like a coward, all the way to the 50th floor. Also, he remembered Seoyeon pissing herself when she saw the banshee at the floor 14. Hyungwoo rang out how glad he was to see them. On top of that, the sushi was really good, thinking on how he could make it alive living for 12 years without eating it. The guild leaders remind him when he was in the floor 70, he can't stop talking about how much he missed eating sushi, since their enemy was a big fish. And he remembers he took Seokwon's knife just to prepare sushi from the merman's tail. The leaders told him, whenever a myth came about him, they were happy since they knew he was still alive. Hyungwoo asks them what kind of myths did they hear, and they tell him he's basically a celebrity now. On TV, they kept talking about the things he did in the tower. Hyungwoo, terrified, asks if they talked about his role playing on TV, and which one they mentioned, since there were too many. And he wonders if they talked about when he made it through the dungeon completely naked, or if they talked about the time he passed the tower pretending to be Gollum. They tell him that the most infamous story was when he beat all the bosses dancing like a weirdo, and when he went through 10 floors with a single kick. Hyungwoo claims he did all of these things, and the leaders ask him what he did up there in the tower. What kind of crazy things or ideas could Hyungwoo have done during those 12 years living in the tutorial tower?
Hi, you are watching.
Find one. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to watch more videos like these, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. From researching and script writing to editing and mastering our best manhwa review channel, I will work hard to roll out the highest quality manhwa entertainment videos twice or more a week. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting the channel. To learn more about how to support the channel, check out the link in the description box down below, and if you can't give or simply don't even feel like it, that's okay too. I am just happy you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next video.